Long Island car enthusiast and historian Howard Kroplick just outbid several other interested buyers to purchase this one-of-a-kind 75-year-old Chrysler Imperial for $275,000 from the Vanderbilt Museum in Centerport.
We're extremely pleased that the car is staying locally and that we'll get to see it again. So it's a win-win situation. The museum will receive the proceeds from the car and put it in an endowment for the collections. And we hope to perpetuate that money, earn interest on it, and use it to care for our collections for many years.
Well, I'm very excited about the car. I saw it about 15 months ago when I was looking in the garage for another car that we were going to have, a 1909 Rio that was part of the collection over here. And in the corner of my eye I saw this car, and it was like no other car I ever saw. And we got a basic history of it, that it was a 1937 Chrysler that was built for the Chrysler family. And the design of the car intrigued me, and started to do research on it, and the Vanderbilt Museum put it up for bids, for auction, and was fortunate enough to have the winning bid at the end. So very excited about it. I was excited about it for a couple of reasons, because for years I've been associated with the Vanderbilt Museum. A lot of the research I did for my two books on the Vanderbilt Cup races and Long Island Motor Parkway came right from the museum. So I've known the people here, and one of the real reasons that I bought the car too is that the money that went for this car is going back into the museum as a part of their endowment for their archives and for their collection. So I'm really pleased about that. And then I'm really pleased that this is kind of a unique car, a one-of-one car, and I like the idea that it's going to be a project that I'm going to take it from where it is now and bring it back to life. So that's very exciting. And the other thing is, it's part of Long Island history too. As part of the Chrysler family, it fits with my other car, which is the 1909 Alco Black Beast. So I have two rather unique cars in my relatively small collection, but it's really Long Island specific.
After purchasing it, Kroplick assembled a professional team of car experts to check it out and decide what would be needed for a proper restoration.
The first step in this in the process is really determining how much do you preserve, how much has to be restored, and we started that today with Evan looking at the car and giving us some input. And I really was pleased with his evaluation that the car really doesn't need a major overhaul, and really it shouldn't have to be restored as much as it has to be preserved. And so we're going to bring it back to life. We're going to find the right people to work on the car, and hopefully within a year or so we'll be able to bring it back and bring it to different car shows, different charity events on Long Island.
This extremely rare car was commissioned by Walter Chrysler himself as a gift for his daughter Bernice Chrysler Garbish, whose initials remain on the car to this day.
Before I purchased the car, we did some research on the car. We contacted the Walter Chrysler Museum, and they had some original photos. They had about 8 photos of the car when it was being finished at the LeBaron factory. So these are going to be very useful in us looking at it and bringing it back to what it looked like.
The car is definitely one of a kind. From the windshield back, the body was custom made. It has a LeBaron body TIG, and the car body was actually made by Briggs, who was a major manufacturer of stamped steel automobile bodies from the 30s up through the 50s. Chrysler actually bought Briggs in 1951. When this car was made, because it was a custom order for the Chrysler family, the body framework was made out of white ash, framed just like you'd see a house being built now. And then the sheet metal, which was 16th-inch aluminum, was formed over it. There are major castings for the windshield itself, all the door frames and everything. Again, had special castings made for it, which were then worked. The frame of the car ends about a foot short of the back end of the body. And again, 2 or 3 inch by 4 inch wood timber framework would come out and support the back of the body, which is just what we have here. It has suffered from dampness and neglect, but the amazing thing about it is that it is, I would say, 99% intact. You have everything to work there with. It's not heavily rotted out or rusted out, or the wood is in terrible shape. It does need to be gone through again, but you have everything there to work with. There are very, very few pieces missing, which in a custom-made car, you can't go and find another interior door handle for one. This is it. This is what they made, and it looks like, fortunately, everything's there to do a full restoration or even a sympathetic restoration.
It's a very interesting car, and I think it's a very surprisingly well-preserved car. You know, from the outside, looking at it, seeing it off the street, somebody might think it was in need of a complete restoration, but it's actually a very original car, and I think much of the car can be saved its originality. So it would be a real shame to tear the car down and eliminate all its original upholstery and materials like that to replace with new. I think it's certainly worth the effort of trying to preserve as much as possible. It's pretty unusual these days because this hobby's been going on a long time now, and a lot of these cars have already been found and restored, and that's the problem. There are very few really good original cars left in comparison to the number of restored cars. This car is obviously pretty special because it's a one-of-a-kind car. It was built for the Chrysler family. It's a very exotic machine, so it's extra special to find something kind of this important and unusual in this state of discovery like this. So it's pretty special. I think on the outside people felt that the car needed to be completely torn down and fully restored, which would be very expensive and very time-consuming. Not that what it needs is not going to be time-consuming, it's just going to be different. It's going to be more as you handle a piece of early furniture or a painting where you just go at the car inch by inch, carefully cleaning it and conserving as much of it as possible. And instead of tearing it down, you know, just rejuvenating what's there and stabilizing any condition problems it might have. You would definitely describe it as a sort of an Art Deco car. It's very streamlined. It's also at the same time very formal with the open drive with a closed passenger compartment. So it is it has a lot of very stylish features to it, especially in the interior. The underneath the painted wood is a figured tiger maple. It's got great details that no other Chrysler has, you know, being a one-of-a-kind thing. The body is very sculpted and round with mostly aluminum, so it's a very interesting thing. From a real period of when streamlining was first coming into fashion in this country.
The experts that looked at the car are pretty much in agreement that the car is not a total loss as far as its parts, and its restoration is not even a total restoration. It's more of a refurbishing, that the car needs to be brought back to its original cleanliness and finishes, and they can keep a lot of the original materials rather than replace them. So they're going to restore the car in that sense, and that's surprising because it's probably not going to be as costly as we had originally thought.
Yeah, I thought it was in pretty good shape. I could tell from that the body was all there and the parts were all there. One of the reasons this is really a shed find in itself. It's a cottage find, and that actually is an advantage in some way because most of the pieces are still there. I'd say 95% of the car is their original, and in bits and pieces in the back seat a little bit, but it's all there. So that's very exciting. I'm pleased to hear what Evan had to say today, in that it's not going to need this monster restoration. And one of the things I really don't want to do is make it look like the car just came out of the factory yesterday. This car is 75 years old, so it really shouldn't be made to look like it is 1 year old. So we're going to try to preserve the integrity of the car as much as we can.
I think everyone's looking forward to seeing this car restored, and to see it drive down the street would be a real thrill, and to see it parked in our courtyard at a party or at a fundraiser, and to have people sharing this history is even more exciting for us. So we really cannot wait to see this car in its finished condition. Very exciting.
For more information, you can check out the website vanderbiltcupraces.com. In Centerport, Collora reporting.